One of the most gripping moments in this tale occurs when our unsuspecting veterinarian, driven only by compassion, risks his entire future to shield an unknown, wounded creature from powerful forces. Imagine stumbling upon a massive, injured beast in the bowels of a lonely space station, only to discover later that this magnificent animal belongs to a formidable Baroness, entwining your fate with royal intrigue beyond your wildest dreams. It's a scenario brimming with danger, courage, and unexpected loyalties. If you're curious about how this high-stakes drama unfolds, complete with narrow escapes, explosive confrontations, and a bond that transcends species, then you won't want to miss a second of this story. Hit that subscribe button now to support our channel and ensure you're here for every riveting installment. Trust us, once you dive in, you'll be desperate to see how it all ends. Logan Morrow was near the end of yet another monotonous day at Station Redwood, where he served as the outpost's lone veterinarian. Despite Redwood's strategic location along various trade routes, it was still overshadowed by the dazzling network of advanced starports scattered across the galaxy. Logan's clinic, a cramped space crammed between maintenance quarters and cargo holds, reflected this reality. An old sign read EIE, Animal Care, though few on Redwood seemed to care much about pets, livestock, or any non-essential biology that didn't turn a profit. He had taken the job on Redwood because every other candidate wanted more prestigious assignments. Logan, however, valued practical experience above prestige, preferring to cut his teeth somewhere off the beaten path. Still, in 6 years of patching up everything from battered livestock to smuggled alien exotics, he had never encountered anything that truly challenged his skill or his ethics. Redwood was simply that kind of place, quiet and stagnant, drifting amid the void. All that changed late one evening when Logan ventured into one of the outpost's lesser-used maintenance wings. Rumors had floated in from passing merchants about hearing strange growling or scratching noises, but Redwood security rarely investigated. People here came and went, mostly traders, smugglers, or wanderers with questionable cargo. Most times, an animal locked in a crate for transport would cry out and draw speculation, but the rumors on Redwood rarely amounted to anything urgent or life-threatening. That night, Logan was conducting a final check on some newly delivered medical supplies. The overhead fluorescents buzzed, occasionally flickering in the stale recycled air. Sensing the day was ending without incident, he considered calling it quits and returning to his single-room quarters. Then he heard it, a low, pained groan echoing along a narrow passage, not far from the docks designated for trash offloading. His curiosity piqued. Logan followed the sound down a corridor lined with flickering lights and half-forgotten storage units. He tried to remain calm, reminding himself that Redwood was full of stray creatures, often cats, canines, or small reptiles that had scuttled off cargo ships. But the cry he heard this time was deeper, more resonant. Rounding a corner near an aging airlock, he nearly tripped over a crumpled form on the floor. In the dim glow of an overhead fixture, Logan spotted what looked like a massive four-legged creature with dark and white striped fur. The patterns reminded him vaguely of felines, but this creature was larger than any cat he'd seen. Deep crimson fluid stained the metallic corridor beneath it. Its flank rose and fell in rapid, shallow breaths, suggesting severe injury and equally severe distress. He gingerly approached, heart pounding from a mixture of curiosity and alarm. The creature was unconscious or delirious from pain. Reaching out, he placed a hand near its muzzle. Blood still oozed from multiple wounds. Some looked like clean energy weapon burns, precise holes that suggested a deliberate intent to harm. Someone had targeted this beast. Despite Redwood's general indifference, Logan possessed a stubborn streak of empathy. The moment he recognized the sheer agony in the creature's trembling muscles, he resolved to help it. He carefully slid his arms beneath its chest and hindquarters. The creature flinched, claws raking his sleeve, but it seemed too weak to mount any real defense. "Easy," he whispered, as if speaking to a frightened patient back in his old Earthside internship days. "I'll get you somewhere safe." Logan's clinic on Redwood was never intended for large or exotic species, yet it was the only place he could hope to treat this wounded beast. As he trudged through narrow passageways, muscles aching under the creature's considerable weight, he encountered no one. Redwood's night cycle left corridors nearly empty, the few off-shift workers tucked away in leisure areas or private bunk rooms. The solitude almost seemed like a blessing, given the irregular cargo in his arms. By the time he reached the clinic, a small converted cargo bay with a few diagnostic machines, his shirt was slicked with the creature's blood. He hurried to clear space on the main exam table, sweeping aside crates of supplies to make room. The overhead lights in the clinic hummed to full brightness, revealing just how severe the wounds were. The beast's fur was matted in multiple places, dark stripes standing out starkly against its white pelt. Perhaps most remarkable was its face, short muzzle, sharp features, and ears that twitched with surprising sensitivity. Logan said, his voice wavering from adrenaline. Activate xenobiology scanner. Priority 1. His battered system sprang to life, projecting a pale blue glow across the exam table. With trembling precision, he manipulated the beast's limbs to expose the injuries for scanning. The machine whirred and beeped, analyzing the creature's physiology. As the scanner processed data, Logan pulled on gloves and gently checked the worst wound, a neat round puncture near its ribcage where the skin had blackened. It looked suspiciously like an energy weapon shot, the sort known for leaving cauterized but agonizing holes. "Who the hell shot you?" he murmured under his breath, perplexed at why anyone would aim so precisely at such a majestic creature. Though unconscious, the beast let out an occasional whimper. Logan prepped a sedative, uncertain how it would react to foreign biology. If the sedation was too strong, it could shut down vital functions. Too weak, and the creature might snap awake, terrified and in agony. He compromised by using a mild formula intended for large canines. The sedative hissed into the injection port of the intravenous line Logan carefully inserted. Almost immediately, the creature's breathing steadied, and its muscles seemed to loosen from their rigid tension. "That's it, buddy," Logan said quietly, trying to radiate calm. "I've got you." When the scanner finished, the overhead console blinked with lines of text. Species unknown. Possible genetic relation to felinid humanoid clades. Approx 76% match. A swirl of confusion overcame Logan. Felinid humanoids, like the rumored aristocratic houses from the Helios Empire, were known for upright posture and complex societal structures. This creature, however, seemed firmly four-legged, though there was a definite intelligence in its eyes. He wondered if there was some engineered lineage at play, a companion or guardian bred by advanced genetic techniques. Pushing those questions aside, he focused on saving its life. He cleansed and dressed the wound sites using a regenerative sealant normally reserved for serious trauma. Because Redwood rarely saw advanced injuries, the supplies had remained mostly untouched in a corner crate. The beast's vitals were erratic, two hearts beating in offset rhythms, a body temperature higher than any baseline he knew. Yet it clung to life. Exhaustion weighed on him, but Logan persisted, driven by instinct and compassion. Saving this unknown patient felt not only urgent, but somehow profoundly important. And so in the quiet gloom of Redwood's off hours, Logan Morrow stepped beyond the boundaries of everyday routine, guided by a sense that the fate of this creature would soon intertwine with his own in unpredictable ways. In the ensuing hours, Logan discovered more anomalies. The creature possessed multiple internal organs that lined up with certain felinid humanoid characteristics. The neural tissues in particular were far more complex than those of non-sapient animals. Every reading implied this beast was at least semi-sentient, perhaps capable of advanced communication or at least emotional bonding. Despite his training, Logan had never encountered anything like it. He tried not to let the creature's suffering get under his skin, but compassion was embedded in his nature. He carefully irrigated each wound with antiseptic solution, realigning torn muscle strands using microsutures. Anytime the sedation wore off enough for the beast to stir, Logan would whisper soothing reassurances, watching the animal's luminous eyes flicker open and shut. Dawn on Redwood came not from natural sunlight, but from the station's automated cycle, shifting internal lighting to mimic a faint morning hue. After a marathon of improvised surgery and healing protocols, Logan allowed himself a brief moment of rest. He stood at the clinic's single window, a thick pane overlooking the station's lower docking ring, and mulled over the next steps. Should he report this mysterious creature to Redwood's security? If someone had specifically tried to kill it with precise energy, it's just they might still be on the station. But Redwood's authorities were notoriously unconcerned with personal matters or extravagant pets, so long as there was no direct threat to the station's order. Besides, the beast's remarkable physiology and potential sentience complicated everything. If Redwood's leadership saw a chance to hand it over to the highest bidder, perhaps some unscrupulous collector or an imperial official, they might do it without a second thought. As Logan wrestled with these questions, his handheld comm beeped. The station's overhead speakers soon came online, broadcasting a message from Redwood's administrator. "Attention all personnel. A diplomatic envoy from the Helios Empire has signaled an unscheduled arrival. Expected docking in 6 hours. All staff prepare for heightened protocol." Logan's brow furrowed. Helios Empire. The mention triggered distant recollections of a proud and insular lineage known for elaborate courts, rumored genetic engineering, and powerful felinid rulers. If these envoys were connected to the beast, events would soon spiral beyond Redwood's typical complacency. Returning to the exam table, he found the creature awake, observing him through half-lidded eyes. The sedation had taken hold effectively, leaving it docile but aware. Cautiously, Logan laid a hand on its neck, trying to convey calm. In a startling moment of clarity, the creature lifted one massive paw, striped with a mesmerizing swirl of black and white, and touched his wrist. A strange warmth flooded Logan's senses, almost like an adrenaline surge. For an instant, he felt a fleeting impression of gratitude. It wasn't words per se, but more of a feeling that roiled through his brain. The experience left him shaken, yet profoundly connected. He drew back gently, his breath uneven. "Are you trying to communicate?" he asked aloud, feeling vaguely foolish talking to a creature that, by all appearances, was somewhere between an engineered big cat and a sentient symbiote. But the beast's gaze felt undeniably intelligent. This could be more than just an animal. Logan pressed a few buttons on his scanning equipment, initiating a deeper neural mapping sequence. He wanted to see if there was evidence of telepathic or empathic capacity. Redwood's medical database was outdated, but it might at least detect abnormal neural impulses. While the scanner hummed, Logan leaned close to the creature. "Whatever you are, I'm not giving up on you," he whispered, ignoring how the station's overhead lights started to pulse in a standard alert pattern, a sure sign that Redwood's administrators and the Helios envoy were about to turn the station upside down. A commotion in the corridor jarred Logan from an uneasy nap. He startled upright to find the beast, whom he mentally had nicknamed Var in the preceding hours, still dozing under sedation. Dried blood had been cleared from its striped fur, revealing large swaths of white, broken by black lines that almost formed swirling patterns. The worst wounds were finally sealed, though they would leave scars. Flashes of light lit the corridor through the clinic's glass panel. Logan tensed. Either Redwood's security had decided to pay a visit, or the Helios envoy had arrived ahead of schedule. He quickly closed the tinted partition, wanting to hide Var from prying eyes as long as possible. A single firm knock broke the silence. Then a voice, crisp and forceful, announced, "This is Enforcer Mella from Redwood Security. We have an Imperial guest who wishes to speak with the station veterinarian." Cursing quietly, Logan unlocked the clinic's door. Two Redwood security officers stood outside, accompanied by a tall, imposing figure dressed in a layered black uniform with golden insignias. The uniform's high collar and embroidered crest marked them as part of Helios aristocracy. A proud tilt of the chin, with feline-like eyes, slitted pupils, and pale irises, revealed this stranger's species. "I'm Dr. Morrow," Logan said, forcing a calm he did not feel. "How may I help you?" The Helios officer stepped forward, ignoring Redwood's half-hearted attempts to maintain a perimeter. In a voice that purred yet carried an edge, the newcomer introduced herself as Countess Helion Cadore of the Helios Empire. Immediately, Logan's suspicions went into overdrive. Helios nobility would never come here unannounced unless something truly serious compelled them. She regarded Logan with an air of refined scrutiny. Her cat-like ears twitched in subtle movements beneath the decorative circlet that crowned her head. "I understand," she said, voice laced with the confidence of someone used to authority, "that you've come across an unusual creature, a rare form of companion animal that belongs to my house. We've tracked its blood signature to this sector." Logan stiffened, trying to mask any reaction. "I tend many animals," he said, his tone neutral. "Ships bring all sorts through Redwood, from plain livestock to exotic hybrids." Enforcer Mella coughed as though sensing Logan might be omitting something. The Redwood guard flicked a gaze toward him, probably recalling the rumor mill about the veterinarian lugging a massive injured beast into his clinic a few hours ago. Logan saw no easy way out. Countess Helion's eyes bored into him, quietly commanding, "My tracking instruments indicate this creature is within Redwood. It's wounded in critical condition. I'm prepared to pay handsomely for its safe return." Alternatively, she let the sentence hang, implying that if intimidation was needed, she wouldn't hesitate to use it. Logan's moral compass whirled. On one hand, if Helion truly owned Var as a beloved companion, returning the beast to her would be the right thing, assuming she had no malicious intent. On the other, Var's wound suggested a direct, deliberate attempt on its life. If that attempt was orchestrated by Helios agents, handing Var back might be a death sentence. "I will examine any relevant leads," Logan replied evasively, "but Redwood is quite large." Countess Helion's pupils narrowed. "Then I will make a thorough search. If you discover anything, Doctor, you can contact me via Redwood's administrative channel. I advise you not to obstruct Helios Imperial law." Without another word, she turned on her heel, her retinue following in a smooth, disciplined line. Once they disappeared down the corridor, Logan closed the doors, heart racing. He looked at the tinted glass partition behind which Var remained hidden. The creature was stable but vulnerable. The aristocrat's arrival had shifted Redwood's precarious balance. Logan's secret patient, once a simple moral challenge, was now a political flashpoint. He decided then that he needed to speak to Var, if communication was at all possible, and learn the truth before returning the beast to anyone. For the next few hours, Logan attempted something he'd never tried before. Mind-to-mind communication with a creature that wasn't fully human, nor fully bestial. He suspected Var's telepathic or empathic link, especially after that odd jolt of warmth. As Redwood's overhead lighting fluctuated through midday cycles, Logan carefully monitored Var's neural activity, trying a variety of stimuli to see if a pattern emerged that resembled language. The progress was slow, but glimpses of possibility emerged. A slight flicker in Var's neural readings when Logan touched a wound site. A sudden spike when he repeated the name Var aloud, as if the beast recognized that personal label. Encouraged, Logan pressed on. Outside, Redwood's atmosphere had turned chaotic. Imperial patrols roved the corridors, scanning random containers and demanding clearance from station staff. Several docking bays were put under restricted access, preventing any unauthorized vessel from departing. Rumors swirled that Countess Helios was searching not just for a pet, but for something more intimately bound to Helios tradition, something rumored to be part of aristocratic lineage. Despite Redwood's general complacency, the administrative staff seemed alarmed by the Imperial presence. Redwood's top official, Director Stens, circulated messages urging cooperation with the Helios forces. The official line insisted Redwood had nothing to hide, but Logan suspected more political nuance behind the scenes. The Helios Empire had a fearsome reputation for punishing those who crossed them. Meanwhile, Var's condition stabilized, albeit with some troubling indicators. The wounds, while sealed, might leave deeper internal damage. Genetic scans showed an advanced biochemical process Logan couldn't fully comprehend, akin to an engineered system that regulated Var's adrenaline, immune response, and possibly even telepathic abilities. In the quiet of the clinic, Logan felt sure this creature was more than a simple companion. He decided to see if Var could stand. Carefully removing sedation lines, Logan gently coaxed the beast up. A flash of intelligence sparked in Var's golden eyes, as though it recognized Logan. Struggling but determined, Var rose, wobbling on four muscular legs. Its fur still bore faint traces of antiseptic and medicinal salve. Keeping one hand near Var's shoulder, Logan guided it around the confines of the clinic's main room. "If you can understand me," he said softly, "I need some sign, some link. Can you send me a thought or an emotion?" Var's head lifted, ears swiveling. An instant later, Logan felt a faint pang that wasn't strictly physical, an impression of urgency or warning that jolted into his mind. Startled, he nearly stumbled backward. Before he could process that fleeting communication, Redwood's alarm klaxon pierced the silence. The station's intercom crackled. "All personnel, be advised. The Helios envoy requests immediate lockdown of medical facilities for a specialized search." Logan's blood ran cold. They were coming. If Helios troopers stormed his clinic, they would find Var. Perhaps they would kill Var on the spot if they believed it was a rebellious experiment or had outlived its political usefulness. Logan had to make a snap decision, one that could brand him a criminal in the eyes of Redwood and possibly the entire sector. He took a shallow breath and locked eyes with Var. "We need to hide you or get you out of here now." The creature blinked, as though understanding the predicament on some fundamental level. The question was, hide where? Redwood's compartments were not limitless, and the Helios envoy was searching specifically for this unique biological signature. Logan wondered if there was a portion of Redwood that Helion's sensors might not penetrate. He recalled an old quarantine wing, originally built decades ago for isolating infectious diseases, rumored to be lined with advanced shielding. That might be their only shot. Seizing a portable medical kit, Logan motioned for Var to follow. The beast limped obediently, each step unsteady but propelled by survival instinct. As the klaxon continued, Logan shut down the clinic's power, hoping to cloak their exit. Then, in Redwood's half-lit corridors, veterinarian and beast slipped into the shadows, forging a hasty path toward the old quarantine ward, uncertain if they'd find salvation there or trap themselves deeper in Helios's crosshairs. Logan's knowledge of Redwood's labyrinthine layout came from his early days on the station, when curiosity had driven him to wander every quarter. The neglected quarantine wing lay in a lower sublevel, once designated for epidemic containment. It was rarely used, overshadowed by Redwood's more modern labs. Because no major outbreaks had threatened Redwood in recent years, the old facility had fallen into disrepair. Rushing through corridor after corridor, Logan kept one hand near Var's flank. Each time the creature faltered, Logan offered support. Var, for its part, trudged on with remarkable resolve, occasionally glancing back as if to ensure Logan was still with it. They encountered few station personnel, either because people were avoiding the Helios lockdown or because Redwood's labyrinth always felt half abandoned. Finally, they reached a sealed hatch marked with faded hazard symbols and stenciled letters reading biocontainment. Logan accessed a dusty console, bypassing its old security codes with general medical override. The door groaned open, revealing a corridor lined with thick plating. The lights flickered weakly, but it was enough to illuminate signs pointing to individual isolation chambers. They hurried into the first chamber that looked intact. Logan tested the door's manual controls, verifying it could lock from within. Perfect for a concealment, as the walls were presumably shielded enough to block casual scanning. He guided Var inside, then sealed the chamber. A stale odor of chemical disinfectant lingered, a testament to how rarely this place was used. Okay, Logan said, exhaling hard. We're hidden for now, but Helios patrols might find us eventually. This might only buy time. Var stared at him with those intense feline eyes, stepping with more confidence now that the corridor dash was over. Logan set up a portable med scanner and resumed checking Var's vitals. Your body is still healing. Regenerative tissue is forming around the wounds, but it's slow. Another day or two, and maybe you'd be stable enough to move further. The beast let out a rumbling sound. Logan interpreted it as something between a growl and a purr, perhaps a sign of mild discomfort. Then he felt a subtle pressure in his mind again, like a gentle mental tap urging his attention. He tried to focus, letting the sensation wash over him. An impression formed, a swirl of anxiety, the image of sleek, uniformed figures, and a sense of approaching threat. Helios soldiers, Logan thought. This telepathic link, while rudimentary, was unmistakable. Var was warning him that Heliani's troops might be near. Strained footsteps echoed in the outer corridor. Logan's heart hammered. He quickly extinguished the overhead light, plunging the chamber into relative darkness. Through a small observation window, he saw the bobbing beams of flashlights. Muffled voices echoed. Check every room, the Countess insisted. The creature's blood was tracked here. Logan tensed, adrenaline spiking. He had no weapons beyond tranquilizer darts, and he doubted they'd slow a determined Helios soldier clad in advanced armor. He placed one hand on Var's shoulder, feeling the low tremor of readiness coiling in the beast's muscles. One of the soldiers, a silhouette in the corridor, stopped in front of the isolation chamber door. Logan's pulse thundered as the doorknob rattled. He prepared to release the tranquilizer if the soldier forced entry. Seconds stretched, endless. Then another soldier's voice drifted over. It's locked, probably empty. Move on. The footsteps receded. Logan closed his eyes, letting out a shaky breath, hoping that Redwood's older systems had hidden Var's presence. For the moment, they were spared. But the underlying question remained, how long could they keep this up? When the immediate threat passed, Logan realized they needed a better long-term plan. If Heliani's personal troopers were on the warpath, Redwood's meager security would be pressured to comply. The entire station effectively fell under the Empire's intimidating shadow. A soft mechanical hiss signaled the quarantine chamber's environmental systems sputtering to life, likely triggered by the presence of living organisms. Stale air cycled out, replaced by somewhat fresher, though still recycled, oxygen. Var stretched its limbs in the gloom, carefully lowering itself to the floor in what appeared to be a resting posture. The creature's gaze lifted to Logan, who sank down against the chamber wall. He rubbed his temples, trying to think. His impetus to save Var Bimaran had thrust him into a precarious position. Redwood's leadership, the Helios Countess, and who knew how many watchers were all on alert. An average veterinarian wasn't prepared to outwit aristocratic agents with the resources of an empire behind them. But that spark of empathy in him wouldn't let him abandon Var. In the gloom, he addressed the beast. You must belong to someone powerful, he whispered. But they're not exactly gentle about bringing you back. Why shoot you, then rush to find you again? Doesn't add up. Var's only response was a quiet rumble. Yet Logan sensed the beast was listening, perhaps even understanding. Over the next hour, Logan set up a small operating lamp and rechecked the creature's injuries. He used every advanced suture and healing gel he had. Each time he touched Var's injuries, that pulse in his mind rose again, like a telepathic heartbeat. Amid these improvised treatments, Logan recalled faint stories he'd heard about the Helios Empire, how certain noble lines formed psychic bonds with specially bred creatures, often referred to as pets outwardly, but rumored to be far more. Some said these creatures carried the nobility's familial genetics or served as living reflections of the ruling house's authority. Others claimed they were guardians with partial telepathic links to their owners. If that was true, then Var might not just be an animal of royal lineage. He might literally be an extension of Helian's family. That would mean the Countess searching Redwood might be Var's rightful companion. And yet, the bullet-like precision of the wounds suggested someone else had tried to kill him. Perhaps a political rival or faction within the Empire, aiming to undermine Heliani by targeting her bonded creature. Logan found the scenario both plausible and terrifying. Helios courts were rumored to be labyrinths of intrigue, betrayal, and carefully orchestrated alliances. A veterinarian from a backwater station had no business meddling in such high-stakes affairs. Yet here he was, his personal comm unit beeped suddenly, jarring him from these thoughts. Redwood's directory had delivered a broadcast. All station personnel are required to attend a formal greeting for Countess Helios in the main assembly hall at 1600 hours. Attendance is mandatory unless vital duties prevent it. The timing was perfect for a confrontation. Helios must have insisted on a grand appearance. It gave Logan a chance to learn more about her real intentions. If she was truly the rightful caretaker of this beast, maybe she was searching for Var to save him from a treacherous attack. If not, Logan needed to keep Var hidden at all costs. He peered at the giant creature, fighting an internal war between duty and caution. Maybe I should go, he said quietly. At least see what Countess Helios does in public. If she's behind this, I'll know. If she's not, maybe we can get you to her safely. Var's ears twitched, and Logan sensed a wave of anxiety flickering through their odd mental link. He placed a reassuring hand on Var's flank. I promise I won't lead them here without knowing the truth. And so, reluctantly, Logan prepared to leave Var locked away in the musty quarantine chamber, trusting the thick walls to cloak the creature's presence for a few more hours. He would go to the assembly hall, watch Helios from a distance, and glean every clue he could. Then he would choose whether to confront her with the truth or hide Var forever. The main assembly hall, typically used for Redwood's sporadic celebrations and trade delegations, had undergone a hasty makeover to accommodate the imperial guest. Banners featuring Helios insignias draped the walls, and Redwood's maintenance staff had buffed the floor to a high sheen. A small dais stood at the front, where Director Stenz, Redwood's chief administrator, fidgeted nervously. Station personnel gathered in clusters, each wearing their standard-issue uniform or plain civilian attire. Helios soldiers, clad in black armor with gilded emblems, stood guard at key exits, making the event feel less like a greeting and more like a subdued standoff. Logan slipped into the back, hoping to remain inconspicuous. Moments later, Countess Helios entered with measured grace. Her attire differed from earlier, now a more regal ensemble of shimmering fabric that matched her pale eyes and accentuated her feline features. The hush that fell over the crowd spoke volumes. Even Redwood's more jaded staff recognized the dangerous aura of Helios nobility. Director Stenz stammered out a welcome speech. He praised the Empire's presence and Redwood's willingness to assist in any way possible. Then Helios stepped forward, voice carrying the purr-like cadence of her kind, but laced with authority. My thanks to Redwood Station for your hospitality, she began. I am here on a matter of great personal importance, to locate my cherished companion, who was wrongfully attacked and separated from me during transit. I come not as an enforcer of imperial edicts, but as someone seeking the safe return of a bond I cannot replace. Her words were carefully chosen. On the surface, she seemed earnest, even worried, describing her companion as a living being she deeply cared about. Logan scanned her expression, looking for signs of deception, such as a hidden smile that betrayed malice. Instead, her eyes gleamed with genuine intensity. I implore any who have information to come forward, Helios continued, and for those who shelter my companion out of fear, know that I have no intention of punishing good Samaritans. My quarrel lies with those who inflicted harm, not those who rescue. A wave of murmurs washed through the crowd. Some Redwood staff seemed sympathetic. Others regarded her with suspicion. Logan felt his heart tighten. If she was telling the truth, he might be depriving Var of a rightful reunion. Then again, any cunning Helios aristocrat could craft a believable facade. You see, she added, glancing meaningfully around the hall, my companion is more than a pet. His well-being is intricately linked to mine, and his absence has shaken the very foundations of my house. I stand before you as a woman whose heart is incomplete, willing to pay any price for his safe recovery. Silence followed, broken only by the faint whir of overhead fans. Helios let the pause hang, then concluded, as a gesture of gratitude, I vow Redwood Station will receive favorable trade concessions from the Helios Empire if my companion is found unharmed. I invite your station veterinarian, Dr. Morrow, to personally assist in verifying my companion's condition once located. Logan's stomach twisted when she named him directly. So she already knew. Helios' gaze roamed the crowd until it locked onto him, standing off to the side. For a moment, her feline pupils narrowed, as if acknowledging that indeed Redwood had only one veterinarian, and he might be the key to everything. Their eyes met. Logan fought the instinct to look away. She appeared regal yet vulnerable, strong yet worried. It was a cocktail of complexities that left him uncertain. Was she truly anguished, or a master manipulator? The meeting concluded with Helios encouraging Redwood staff to cooperate fully. The crowd dispersed, buzzing with speculation. Logan slipped out quickly, not wanting to be cornered by Helios soldiers. If Heliani was genuine, maybe he could broker a safe handover of Var. If she was lying, the cost of revealing the truth could be catastrophic. He returned to the hidden quarantine ward, his thoughts a blur. The question hammered in his mind: was he about to reunite Var with a rightful, loving caretaker, or deliver the creature back into harm's grasp? Logan found Var pacing, antsy and unsettled. In the dimly lit quarantine chamber, the creature's massive shoulders rippled under the striped fur. Upon seeing Logan, Var let out an urgent chuff, then pressed closer as though seeking reassurance. "I talked to her. Well, I heard her speak," Logan said, setting down a supply bag. "Countess Helion claims you're vital to her house. She speaks about you like you're part of her family." Var blinked slowly, the tip of its tail twitching. Logan felt that subtle mental nudge again, a swirl of images or emotions he could barely decode. It might have been trust, or caution, or something in between. Over the next hour, Logan weighed his options. He tried to prompt Var for telepathic clarity. "Do you belong with Helion? Is she your friend or your enemy?" Each time, impressions bubbled up in his mind, a mixture of yearning, fear, and a sense of urgency. But those impressions were maddeningly vague. Finally, Logan reasoned that Helion's emotional plea in the assembly didn't look staged. The Empire had no reason to put on a charade for Redwood's sake alone. Redwood wasn't that important. That left the possibility that Helion was genuine and had come to rescue Var after some sabotage. "All right," he muttered, placing a hand on Var's shoulder. "We'll attempt a covert meeting. I'll contact the Countess and see if she's sincere. But if I sense any threat, we vanish again." Var let out a low rumble that Logan chose to interpret as agreement. With the plan set, Logan made sure Var was stable enough to walk. While the creature was far from fully recovered, it could move without collapsing. They'd have to keep a slow pace. That afternoon, under Redwood's shifting cycles of artificial day and night, Logan sent a discreet message to Helion's channel, requesting a private meeting. He used code phrases, hinting that he might have critical medical information about her lost property. Her reply was swift and direct. "Come to Docking Bay D at the next shift change. We will speak alone." Suspicion coiled in Logan's gut, but time was short. He and Var crept through Redwood's seldom-used pathways to avoid detection. The docking bay, typically half-deserted, was especially empty during shift change. Helios soldiers likely roved the main corridors, but Heliani was evidently confident enough to meet in a less guarded area. They took cover behind a row of stacked cargo crates near a shuttle. A single figure stood there, Countess Helion, wearing a hooded cloak over her regal uniform. Even from a distance, her posture radiated tension, as though she was on high alert. "All right," Logan whispered to Var, who bristled but stayed near. "Let's see if she means well or not." Taking a slow breath, Logan stepped out into the open. Helion's feline eyes flicked toward him with uncanny speed. Under the bay's fluorescent lights, her features looked sharper, more anxious. She beckoned him closer. "You must be Dr. Morrow," she said softly. "I'm glad you reached out. Where is my companion? Is he alive?" Logan studied her face. He could see faint lines of worry at the corners of her eyes. After a measured pause, he motioned for Var to emerge from behind the crates. The beast padded forward, still favoring its injured flank, but undeniably present. Helion's breath caught. She dropped her hood, revealing pointed ears that twitched as raw emotion played across her features. For a moment, neither of them spoke, and the only sound was the hum of the docking bay's ventilation. Then Var took a few halting steps, gazing at her with an intensity that made Logan's heart squeeze. Helion placed a hand over her mouth, a flicker of relief and sorrow contorting her expression. "Var," she breathed, voice trembling, "you're truly still alive." At the sight of Helion, Var closed the distance, lifting its head to rest against her torso. She stroked the stripes on its neck, her gloved fingers careful over still fresh scars. Watching them reunite, Logan felt an unspoken bond pass between them. The sense of emotional synergy was almost tangible, making the air hum with tension and relief. Helion knelt, pressing her forehead gently against Var's brow. In that moment, the regal aristocrat vanished, replaced by someone deeply vulnerable, her lips quivering with something akin to joy. She murmured in a dialect Logan couldn't understand, probably a Helios language. Var responded with a soft rumbling noise, half purr, half sigh. Eventually, Helion rose, turning to Logan. "You saved his life?" she asked, her tone hushed yet resolute. He nodded. "I found him injured in Redwood's maintenance corridors. He'd been shot, precision energy wounds. I used everything I had to patch him up." "Thank you," as she said, sincerity flooding her voice. "You cannot imagine what that means to me." For a heartbeat, Logan believed her wholeheartedly, yet the caution he'd nurtured all this time still lingered. "If you don't mind my asking, who shot him?" Helion's jaw tightened. A faction seeking to destabilize my house, or possibly the entire Helios empire. Var is precious to me, not just personally, but politically. In our tradition, these companions are symbolic extensions of our lineage. Harming Var is a direct blow to me. I suspect a rival faction arranged the sabotage. Logan exhaled slowly. So it was as he'd guessed, a swirl of Helios politics. Are they still hunting him? Yes, she admitted darkly. And you as well, if they believe you know too much. We have only a small window to leave Redwood. My adversaries must have discovered Var survived, or they wouldn't be so aggressive in searching. Var nudged Heliane's arm as if urging her to keep moving. Logan watched the subtle interplay between them. Their bond was more than caretaker and pet. It felt as though they were partial reflections of each other, two beings maintaining an almost psychic resonance. Doctor, Heliane said, meeting Logan's gaze. Come with us. I have my personal shuttle hidden in Redwood's secondary hangar. We can slip away before my enemies enforce a blockade. Var clearly trusts you, and we may need your medical expertise if his wounds worsen in transit. Logan hesitated, his mind racing. Follow Heliane into the Helios Empire's heart, where imperial politics raged? Remain on Redwood, now compromised and likely dangerous for him as well? Logically, Redwood might still offer some form of anonymity, if he could hide from the Empire's search squads. But seeing Var lean against Heliane, and recalling how Redwood's top official basically bowed to Helios' demands, he realized he might not have a safe future here either. Besides, something in him refused to abandon Var. The creature's fate had become entwined with his own, forging a bond that Logan couldn't ignore. He thought about how Redwood Station was never truly home, just a place he worked. Perhaps it was time to move on. He glanced at Heliane's luminous, cat-like eyes. All right, he said quietly. I'll help, but if I suspect any foul play. You have my word, she interjected, sincerity radiating in each syllable. I want nothing more than to keep Var alive and identify the traitors who orchestrated this. We'll keep you safe too. I owe you that. A swirl of tension and relief washed over Logan. Making a decision, he nodded. Then let's go before Redwood realizes you're slipping out. Security's posted everywhere. Heliane's lips curved in a determined smile. Then we move quickly. She offered a gracious bow of her head, an almost courtly gesture. After you, Doctor. Guided by the hush of an unguarded corridor, the three, veterinarian, aristocrat, and wounded beast, set off at a brisk pace. Ahead lay a labyrinth of political intrigue, potential betrayal, and the uncertain promise of forging a deeper bond. One chapter was closing, and another had just begun, amid the faint hum of Redwood's lights and the silent vow that somehow they would keep each other alive. Slipping out of Redwood undetected took every ounce of cunning Heliane possessed. She led Logan and Var through maintenance shafts and cargo loading areas, carefully timing their movements to avoid the patrols. Redwood was large, but not large enough to hide a Helios noble with a giant striped companion for very long. Their prize destination was a small hangar typically used for overflow cargo. Hidden behind shipping crates was a sleek craft, more advanced than any typical Redwood vessel. Its black hull had a stealth coating that gave it a predatory gleam under overhead lights. Heliane approached it with familiarity, placing her palm on an access pad. A hiss signaled the cabin door opening. In you go, she whispered, urging Logan and Var inside. The interior was surprisingly spacious, designed to accommodate a pilot, a few passengers, and, apparently, a large companion. Logan assisted Var up a short ramp. The beast's breathing sounded heavy, but not dangerously so. Once they were inside, Heliane took the pilot's seat and began powering up systems. Through a viewport, Logan glimpsed Redwood's meager security crafts stationed around the primary docks. If they launched from the secondary hangar quickly enough, Redwood might not even register the departure. The ship's engines hummed, a sound that vibrated through Logan's chest. With deft control, Heliane maneuvered the craft out of the cramped bay and into Redwood's orbital lane. No alarms blared, no fighters scrambled. Relief touched Logan. Maybe Redwood's administration was more interested in quietly ridding themselves of imperial tensions than capturing Heliane's ship. Once they passed the station's outer perimeter, Heliane engaged a short-range warp, propelling them into the starry void beyond Redwood's sensors. Logan's breath caught as starlight streaked across the cockpit's view, the swirl of infinite space mesmerizing. He had traveled only on modest transports before, never on a stealth vessel with warp capabilities. Heliane exhaled, shoulders visibly relaxing. We're out, she said, a note of quiet triumph. Then she turned to Logan. Battle Var in the medbay. We have a few hours of stable flight before our next jump. The medbay turned out to be a compact but well-equipped nook aft of the cockpit. It had modular equipment suited for multiple species, a telling sign that Helliane or her family prepared for medical emergencies. Logan helped Var onto a padded bench, hooking up a portable scanner to recheck the beast's injuries. Var's vitals were better than expected, though still precarious. The advanced healing gels Logan had used were helping, but a deeper underlying stress lingered, perhaps from the telepathic bond Var shared with Heliane. Logan administered a mild analgesic, mindful not to overpower the beast's unique physiology. Meanwhile, Heliane emerged from the cockpit, removing her cloak. Freed from Redwood's tension, her posture changed, slightly more open, less guarded. "How is he?" she asked, voice tinted with concern. "Stable," Logan replied, adjusting the monitoring device strapped around Var's torso. "But we need to keep him rested. I'd like to run a more thorough genetic panel, if your systems can handle it." She nodded, tapping a console. "Everything you need is here. This craft was built for my house's specialized travels, with advanced equipment in case we encountered problems." Her expression darkened, presumably recalling the sabotage that nearly killed Var. As Logan prepared the genetic sequencing unit, Heliane gently stroked Var's striped fur, the creature's eyes half closed in what looked like relief. For all her aristocratic bearing, she showed genuine affection, reaffirming Logan's hope that she wasn't simply a scheming manipulator. A quiet beep signaled the initial scan. Data scrolled across the screen, revealing an intricate tapestry of engineered markers. Logan recognized sequences that aligned with known Helios genealogies, evidence that Var shared biological elements with Heliane's own lineage. A highly advanced design, likely centuries in the making, forging a near-telepathic connection between certain Helios heirs and their companion beasts. Studying the readouts, Logan asked softly, "This must be why your enemies wanted him dead. Hurting Var weakens you." Heliane's lips tightened. "Yes, in Helios tradition, a bonded companion is more than a symbol. He is an extension of who I am physically and psychically. My house's stability depends on that union. Enemies might think that if Var dies, I become vulnerable." Logan recalled the mental pulses he'd felt from Var. He couldn't imagine what it felt like for Heliane, perhaps an even deeper bond that had been partially severed by injury. No wonder she risked everything to find him. Over the following days, the ship traversed light years of space, hopping between safe routes and silent zones to avoid detection by Heliane's enemies. She occasionally updated Logan on the political chaos roiling within the Helios Empire. A power-hungry cousin, Lord Theridan, had seized the chance to undermine Heliane's position while she was absent searching for Var. Rumors indicated that some palace guards were loyal to Theridan and had arranged the attack on Var. "Theridan is cunning," Heliane remarked one evening as they sat in the small lounge area, each with a warm beverage. Var dozed comfortably nearby, still healing, but increasingly mobile. "He knows the Empire's ancient laws. If I lose my companion, my claim weakens. With Var gone, Theridan can challenge my fitness to lead." Logan sipped his drink, the unfamiliar spices tingling his tongue. "So the attempt on Var's life was a political strike at you?" "Precisely," Heliane confirmed, bitterness seeping into her voice. "He intended for me to realize Var was missing too late. Or perhaps he planned to claim I'd harmed my own companion. Either scenario isolates me from the Empire's core families. By the time I'd realized what happened, Redwood was the last place I'd have thought to look for Var. Except I uncovered faint energy trails from a disguised craft leaving the Helios system. That trail ended at Redwood." She stared out a small window, watching stars swirl past. "I suspect the traitor's plan was to kill Var far from Helios territory, leaving no evidence that linked them. But because you intervened, he survived." Logan couldn't help the swirl of conflicting emotions inside him. Anger at the cruelty behind such a plan, and relief that his random act of compassion had foiled it. He also felt a sense of creeping responsibility, because he was now inexorably part of a Helion struggle. They discussed her next steps. Returning to the Helios Empire openly might spark open conflict if Theridan had consolidated power. Yet Helion's best chance to reclaim her rightful position was to show Var alive and well, proving the bond remained intact. The Empire's loyalists who revered tradition would rally behind her. But there was a grim catch. Openly traveling with Var meant they risked ambush. If Theridan or his allies discovered their route, they'd send mercenaries or saboteurs again. "Perhaps secrecy is my only ally," Helion mused. "Approach the capital quietly, gather enough support, and reveal myself at the critical moment. Tradition dictates that a direct challenge to my leadership must be settled in front of the High Council." Logan watched her, admiration warring with concern. "And if the challenge leads to violence?" Her eyes flicked to him, feline pupils reflecting cockpit lights. "I will fight for what is mine, but my house values alliances, including those with outsiders." Her voice softened. Dr. Morrow, I won't pretend your life isn't at risk. You stand against Imperial conspirators now, but I swear I'll protect you as you protected Var. He gave a half smile, torn between nerves and the sense of belonging he felt. Redwood was never truly home, but traveling with Helian and Var, he'd found a purpose. I appreciate that, he said. She inclined her head. You're courageous. My house honors such loyalty. On the floor, Var stirred, blinking those golden eyes. The beast's gaze fell on both of them, and a warm mental nudge pulsed into Logan's thoughts. A flicker of acceptance. In that moment, he realized the three of them were forging a bond deeper than simple necessity. They were united by empathy, trust, and shared danger, crossing star systems on a path no one else could walk for them. Their first serious confrontation happened in the outskirts of Helios territory, near a drifting way station called Aurea Spoke. Helion needed to procure an updated passcode to bypass the Empire's new security network. Theridan's men had reprogrammed the standard clearance signals to track unauthorized vessels. She knew a contact at Aurea Spoke who still owed her family a favor. The plan was to dock discreetly, retrieve the code, and slip away. But the moment their stealth ship entered the station's scanners, a half-dozen smaller crafts converged, each broadcasting Imperial codes. Theridan's mercenaries, Heliane muttered, eyeing the console. They must have gotten wind of my presence. Logan, strapped into a co-pilot seat, watched the readouts. They're demanding we dock for inspection. Helion's ears flattened in irritation. We'll do no such thing. Brace yourself. In a maneuver that defied standard protocol, she skimmed the outer hull of Aurea Spoke, dodging docking pylons and weaving around cargo modules. The smaller crafts gave chase, firing sporadic energy beams that rattled the shields. Logan's heart thundered. He'd never been in a starship firefight. From the medbay door, Var peered out, letting out a guttural growl at the jolts. Logan glimpsed the beast leaning as if ready to pounce. Helion muttered reassurance, flipping a switch to boost engine output. The ship surged forward, slipping into a narrow service corridor that circled the station's perimeter. Explosions echoed behind them. One mercenary craft, misjudging the tight space, clipped a protrusion and spiraled out of control. Helion used the moment to access the station's data beacon. Through a secure channel, she forced a quick data exchange, gleaning the updated passcodes. But two of Theridan's crafts still dogged them. One soared overhead, launching a barrage that made the hull's interior lights flicker. The other tried to pin them against an external pylon. Doctor, seal the cockpit door, Heliane ordered calmly, focusing on the intense dogfight. We can't risk a hull breach near Var. Logan obeyed, punching commands that locked the compartments. Adrenaline surged as the starfield outside whirled. He glimpsed Aurea Spoke's ring-like structure rotating. They're herding us away from the jump point, he realized. Not for long, Heliane growled, eyes narrowing. She angled the ship upward in a hair-raising arc, soared over Aurea Spoke's top segment, then fired a short-range disruptor pulse. The pursuing craft's engines sputtered. With a violent tilt, she pivoted around to face the second ship head-on. Logan's stomach lurched as Helion triggered the main cannons, unleashing a precision shot that forced the mercenaries to retreat. A risky path opened, the direct line to the jump coordinates. Helion slammed the throttle. The stealth ship streaked away, the battered mercenaries left behind or too damaged to follow. Within minutes, they initiated faster-than-light drive, entering the swirling tunnel of jump space. Only when they were safely enveloped in the jump corridor did Helion let out a shaky breath. She turned in her seat to face Logan, her composure cracking for an instant. I wasn't sure if we'd make it, she admitted softly. Logan wiped sweat from his brow, trying to calm his hammering heart. That was intense. Helion's mouth curved into something resembling a relieved grin. And it will only get harder, but at least we have the passcodes. In the corridor, Var made a low, questioning sound. Logan left his seat to check the beast, running a quick medical scan. The jumps and jolts had worsened a tear in Var's healing flank. With practiced efficiency, Logan resutured the area. Heliane hovered, guilt flickering across her features. He'll be fine, Logan assured, but we can't keep throwing ourselves into battles if we expect him to recover fully. We need a more strategic approach. Heliane sighed, placing a gentle hand on Var's neck. I know. For now, let's get deeper into Helios space without further confrontation. As the jump corridor carried them closer to the Empire's core, Logan sensed a storm gathering. Theridan's forces wouldn't stop after a single failed ambush. If Heliane meant to reclaim her rightful seat, they'd have to face him, and soon. Upon emerging from jump space near Helios Prime, the capital world glowed against the cosmic backdrop like a silver-blue jewel. Orbiting the planet were numerous defense platforms and patrolling cruisers. Helion insisted on using the newly acquired clearance codes, hoping to slip in as part of the standard traffic. From the cockpit, Logan watched large official transports and cargo ships funnel through designated lanes. They all broadcast official IDs, which the defense stations verified. Helion typed in the stolen passcode, forging an identity for her vessel as a low-key medical transport affiliated with the Helios house. To Logan's astonishment, they glided past the orbital checkpoint with minimal fuss. The stealth features likely masked the ship's true signatures. Soon, Helios Prime's upper atmosphere loomed. Tropical cloud formations parted, revealing a massive cityscape below, spiraling towers of opalescent material that shimmered in the sunlight. The planet's architecture exuded the Empire's wealth in advanced engineering, from sculpted spires to open plazas dotted with greenery. They landed on a discreet pad attached to an older medical facility on the city's outskirts, recommended by Heliane's few remaining allies. The pad was overshadowed by towering clinic module that once served the house in times of pandemics or emergencies. When the ramp lowered, Helion and Logan carefully escorted Var onto solid ground. A hush enveloped them, no immediate swarm of guards or sirens. For the moment, they seemed unnoticed. A loyal steward named Belath greeted them inside the facility, bowing respectfully to Helion. "My lady, the situation has worsened. Lord Therodan moves to formally challenge your authority tomorrow at the Grand Council Hall. He claims you are absent and unfit to lead." Helion's eyes flashed, tail lashing in agitation. "He wastes no time. Are there still those who might stand for me?" Belath nodded. "Some remain loyal. They've heard rumors you survived. If you appear with Var, it will prove Therodan's sabotage." He hesitated, glancing at Logan. Helion introduced Logan as the savior of her companion. Belath looked curious but offered a courteous bow. "We welcome all allies of House Cadore." They retreated to a private ward where Helion's network of supporters had set up a small command post. News streamed in how Therodan had manipulated the city's security to suspect infiltration or conspiracies. Many citizens believed Heliane was missing or dead. If she didn't appear at the council session, Therodan would be named regent, effectively usurping her seat. Helion stared at the tactical displays, each flickering with infiltration routes and potential safe houses. Her ears remained pinned in anger or worry. "I must walk into this council hall, present Var as proof of my continued bond, and denounce Therodan publicly." Logan frowned. "That could be dangerous. He might try to assassinate you on the spot." "Yes," she agreed grimly, "but these old traditions required he face me directly if I issue a formal challenge. Should he refuse, the High Council would see him as a cowardly usurper. One false step, though, and he'll order his loyal guards to strike." Turning to Logan, Helion placed a gentle hand on his arm. "I can't force you to come. This is my fight. I know you've risked everything already." He met her gaze, recalling how Redwood had never felt like a true home, how saving Var had awakened a sense of purpose, and how Helion's fearless devotion stirred something inside him he couldn't name. "I stand with you," he said simply, "whatever happens." A flicker of gratitude passed across her feline features. "Then let's prepare. Belath will organize an escort to the council hall. At dawn, we make our stand, and with Var by my side, I refuse to let Therodan tear my house apart." Logan felt a mixture of trepidation and resolve. All paths led to that looming chamber, where centuries-old Helios law would pit rightful heirs against cunning usurpers. The next hours would decide the fate of Heliane's house, Var's survival, and even Logan's own future. Dawn broke over Helios Prime in a riot of pink and gold skies. The city's towers gleamed, reflecting the first sunlight onto elevated walkways and ornate spires. In the heart of the capital lay the Grand Council Hall, a massive domed structure adorned with sculptures of ancient Helios feline guardians. Its main entrance, a set of colossal double doors, usually open for ceremonies. Today it hosted a potential showdown for leadership of House Cadore. Helion arrived with a small entourage of loyalists, Belath among them. Logan walked beside her, wearing a borrowed Helios uniform stripped of insignia. This helped him blend in among the feline guards. Var padded behind them, no longer limping, though the scars from Redwood still showed. The creature moved gracefully, ears pricked in alertness, golden eyes scanning for threats. Citizens and lesser nobles lined the approach, murmuring in shock or relief upon seeing Helion. Some cried out her name. Others whispered fearfully that Therodan's supporters might strike from the shadows. Helion kept her chin high, exuding the regal confidence of one born to lead. Inside the hall, the High Council sat in a semicircle of raised seats. They were the elder statesmen and matriarchs, each representing an influential branch of Helios society. In the center, wearing opulent robes, sat Lord Therodan, tall, with dark fur and the same cat-like eyes as Helion. He feigned an air of calm, though the flick of his tail betrayed annoyance at her sudden appearance. "You dare return now, Helion?" Therodan's voice boomed across the marble floor. We feared you lost, or worse. She let no anger show, stepping forward with measured grace. You knew I was alive. My alleged disappearance was orchestrated by your conspirators, who nearly killed my companion. She gestured to Var, who walked beside her, and the crowd gasped. Therodan's eyes narrowed. A baseless accusation. Why would I harm your pet? A companion, Helion corrected sharply, created and bonded with my lineage. In Helios tradition, it stands as proof of my right to rule House Countess. Var's injuries are consistent with sabotage. As for your motivations, the Empire knows a challenge to my seat could elevate you. The older counselors conferred in low tones, clearly unsettled by Helion's presence. Some stared at Var's wounds, understanding the severity of the attempt. Others regarded Logan with curiosity. Therodan spread his arms in a theatrical gesture. If your companion was harmed, blame pirates or smugglers. Helios space is not without dangers. But you vanish for weeks, then appear on the day of my appointment. Hurling accusations. Helion's tail lashed once. You forced an appointment in my absence, ignoring the High Council's protocols. I stand ready to reaffirm my place. Or do you deny my right? A hush settled. By ancient law, if the rightful heir appeared with proof of her continued lineage bond, any hearing to seat a new leader had to be postponed. Yet if Helion was unfit, physically, mentally, or otherwise, Therodan could press for immediate succession. You question me, Therodan sneered, while you consort with an off-worlder. He jabbed a claw at Logan. You bring a human into our sacred hall, as if to prove what? That you rely on lesser species to keep you alive? Logan stiffened, but Helion stood unwavering. This man is a healer who saved Var's life when your mercenaries tried to end it. His presence here signifies that House Countess values alliances beyond Helios boundaries, a trait we have embraced for generations. Or have you forgotten the legacy of unity our forebears championed? Therodan's features twisted in disdain, but Helion pressed on. I invoke the right of vindication. Let the council bear witness. I challenge your claims to House Countess. We can settle it in honorable fashion or see the council judge your crimes. The mention of crimes caused a stir. Whispers hissed through the chamber. A few counselors eyed Therodan warily, realizing Helion must have evidence of sabotage. Therodan's facade of calm cracked. He rose from his seat, cloak swirling. You want an honorable challenge, cousin? So be it. He gestured, and half a dozen armed guards stepped forward, forming a semicircle. But I won't fight you alone. I stand with those loyal to the Empire's future, free of your meddling. In an instant, the situation turned volatile. Helion's small entourage braced themselves. Logan felt fear spike in his chest, uncertain how this challenge was normally handled. The Helios laws were ancient, but it looked alarmingly like open combat might erupt in the council chamber. Helion nodded to Belath, who stepped forward with a datapad, displaying transmissions that implicated Therodan in orchestrating the sabotage. Council members gasped. The proof was undeniable. Even so, Therodan's loyal guards advanced with lethal intent, ignoring tradition in favor of raw power. Var snarled, muscles bunching, scars forgotten in the heat of potential battle. Logan swallowed hard, stepping protectively near Helion. Another wave of adrenaline coursed through him. For a fleeting moment, he recalled Redwood's quiet quarters and how far he'd come from a small clinic. The standoff reached its climax. Helion, flanked by loyal supporters and a human vet, versus Therodan's armed faction. Council elders demanded order, but fear laced their voices. Then, in a sudden burst of movement, Therodan lunged, an energy blade igniting in his hand. Var sprang forward, intercepting him with a roar that echoed beneath the grand dome. Chaos exploded. Guards rushed at Helion. Logan, fueled by desperation, snatched a portable shock device from his medical pack, stunning one assailant. Metal clashed, energy blasts scorched marble floors. In the chaos, Helion faced Therodan head-on. Var's teeth snapped at his blade, forcing him back. Helion seized the opening, delivering a precise strike to disarm him. The council erupted in shouts. Yield! Helion shouted, cornering Therodan, her own blade near his throat. Therodan's eyes flicked around, seeing his guards subdued or surrendering under the council's furious orders. Faced with the evidence and a hallway of loyal reinforcements now pouring in, he had no route of escape. Breathing heavily, Helion called for an official witness. A council elder rushed over, trembling but resolute. By the law of Helios, the challenge stands. Lord Therodan is found guilty of conspiracy against House Countess. Therodan hissed in defeat as guards seized him. The hall fell silent except for the ragged breathing of participants. Helion straightened, her blade still humming with energy. She glanced down at Var, who stood panting from exertion. Then her gaze found Logan's, relief glowing in her feline eyes. In front of the assembled council, Helion reclaimed her rightful place. She cradled Var's massive head, murmuring gratitude. Then she raised her voice. Let it be known, the Helios Empire will not wither behind old walls of isolation. This man, she gestured to Logan, represents the compassion and collaboration we need for a stronger future. Logan, heart pounding, saw the council's stunned gazes shift to him. As Var nuzzled his leg, an emotion like pride filled him. He had never asked for this role in a galactic drama, but saving Var had led him here, to stand beside Helion at the dawn of a renewed house cateray. And so, under the vaulted dome of Helios's Grand Council Hall, a battered veterinarian from Redwood Station, an aristocratic ruler on the cusp of a new era, and a magnificent scarred beast symbolizing their bond, sealed the fate of an empire. The echoes of that morning would reverberate far beyond Helios Prime, carrying a timeless message about the power of empathy, loyalty, and the unexpected miracles that arise when one humble act of rescue changes everything. Looking back on this extraordinary journey, I'm struck by how empathy became the guiding force that united disparate worlds. A simple act of compassion, treating a wounded beast in a ramshackle clinic, cascaded into a whirlwind of political intrigue, daring escapes, and the reinvention of an entire ruling house. In the end, courage and cooperation transcended every barrier, proving that even the most entrenched traditions could evolve. From my personal perspective, this story reaffirms the power of perseverance and kindness. No matter our backgrounds or species, forging honest connections can bring light to the darkest corners of the galaxy. I invite you all to share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation alive. Thank you for following along, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales of hope, adventure, and the indomitable spirit that unites us all.